There you guys have it. You might hear some noise in the background. They are doing something to the house. Who knows anymore nowadays? But we're back. This beginner week is continuing. If you don't know why there is a beginner week happening, it's because I just launched my first ever beginner guitar course, the Rock and Roll Bootcamp. It is available for this week only. It's going to end this Sunday, then the school closes. It's one-time payment, lifetime access to it. And I really think if you're a beginner who wants to play rock and roll guitar, I said this is the course that I wish that I had when I was learning to play guitar, so I really think a lot of you guys will dig it. That link is all down below, and we're just going to jump into some Van Halen riffs for beginners. Now, Eddie is my all-time favorite guitar player, and of course, being a beginner, I heard his stuff, and I'm like, I'll never be able to play any of this. And then, you know, when I got a little bit older and learned some of this stuff, I'm like, you know, there's some riffs that you can play. Even if you are just kind of starting out, getting the feel of it is going to be the challenge, actually more challenging than the notes. But I think these are doable riffs, and I tried not to just pick the same, like, Running with the Devil and stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and dive into these. Tabs are linked down below, and yo, let's play some Van Halen. Alright, number one. Now this is actually probably the first Van Halen riff I think I could ever play. Maybe even before Running with the Devil, You Really Got Me, which of course is not a Van Halen song, but it's a cover. But this was one I just remember I heard it and I loved the groove to it. Outta Love, that's off of Van Halen number 2. Actually, I think Ice Cream Man was probably the first one I could play. But anyways, so Outta Love again. All those crazy screams. The riff is very simple. It's all out of E. Now, Eddie's tuned down a half step on all of the David Lee Roth stuff that I cover here, I believe, and then he's in standard tuning for the Van Hagar. Now, the riff is, like I said, very simple. It's basically just E minor pentatonic scale. And there's really only 3 notes to the whole thing. This is just how, you know, amazing and how much of a genius Eddie is. And it's a great lesson for beginners because you don't need a lot. You can do a lot with a little. And basically, he's palm muting some notes, and then he, you know, accents certain notes, and this is why Eddie is such a hard player to copy, because he's so dynamic. So basically, we're just going to go 7, 5, 7 on the A, which he's palm muting, and then he plays 5 on the D, and he unpalm mutes, and he adds a little bit more of, like, shake to it. You hear that? And then he does this again. Now, he goes down to the 3rd fret on the lowest string, which is actually just an octave of that 5th fret on the D. You hear the same note. So, but getting that shake on there is super crucial. So, listen to it without the vibrato. It loses that attitude to it, because like I said, this part's very kind of groovy and muted, and then when he hits those open notes, it adds that, like, just that ferocity to it. Then that's where the riff kind of goes. We're not going to cover the next part, but it's a good song. There's a lot of stuff you can learn from that one. Now, next is Fools. Woo! Now, that opening riff is incredibly... It's easy and hard to play to make it sound right. I don't know, it's such an ugly riff, so I didn't include the opening. It's kind of that next riff. So the opening riff is this one. And I'm telling you, it's brutal on your fingers to get this first fret to bend. So So I didn't include it, but what I did is the next riff, and we're not going to add the little lead section, but we're going to go like this. Now he does the whammy bar stuff, which, you know, is not really for beginners. But you can just kind of substitute that by going back to the 5. Now what I'm doing is I'm palm muting 3rd fret on the low E string. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 6 times palm muted. And then you essentially play a power chord, is really what it is. 3rd fret on the D and G, which is like a double stop. But what I'm doing is I'm using my thumb over the neck. Now if you have smaller hands, using your thumb over the neck might not be an option. I use my thumb a lot over the neck. But you can easily just do this with your pointer finger. And then just, you know, hop down. But basically you have to cover 2 strings with 1 finger, that 3rd fret on the D and G. The same as this. You have the rock and roll boot camp. We cover all these different crazy power chords. But basically you're palm muting that 3rd fret low. Now the only thing that changes is it goes to 5 on the D and G. So, and he's adding again a lot of that shake on there. So first things first is get the notes under your fingers and then kind of fine tune it to get all those little details that Eddie hides in there, the vibratos, the shakes, the way he's muting it, that he's hitting the strings hard. If you want the guitar to sound aggressive, you got to play it aggressive. So that's Fools. Listen to the whole thing. It has a crazy intro to it. If you want to, you know, like I said, I think a beginner could play the first part. It's just bending in pitch is going to be maybe a little bit more of a challenge. And there's Fools. All right, now this one is Hang 'Em High off of, not Hang 'Em High, this is Where Have All the Good Times Gone, also off Diver Down. I'm getting my albums mixed up here. And the opening 2 tracks, Hang 'Em High and Where Have All the Good Times Gone, I think they're the best tracks on Diver Down, maybe Full Bug too, I don't know. Little guitars, never mind, the album's incredible. But I wanted to give you this opening riff, which is basically just sliding between these 2 power chords. You know, it's... Even the next part sounds complicated, it's really not. That part's hard, but we're just going to get those first little power chords. He's just shifting back and forth. So essentially you're taking an A5, so 5th fret on the low E string, and then 7th fret on the A, and you slide up to 7 and 9. I've seen some people do it like this, but to me it sounds like he's sliding, and it sounds like it's on the lower strings. You know, fatter strings sound fatter. So you just go 5, slide up. But that's the tricky part. So every once in a while he adds that do 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 do. So alright. He's always adding stuff, and if you listen to the song, he adds a little. As it goes on, he gets a little bit more complex and starts adding stuff because Eddie almost never plays the same thing twice. So even though I'm repeating some of these, I've scaled them down a little bit from what he does. It's still right. You're still playing the right stuff. It's just, like I said, I'm not adding all the little fills and little details that he adds in there because he never stops. You'll spend, you know, a lifetime learning one of his songs and still not have all the little details that he does. One more thing I want to throw in here about Where Have All the Good Times Gone is if you go to learn the full song, I believe Eddie tunes his B string up or down. I can't remember which way he goes. But it's basically to get that... Here those notes don't ring together the best. It makes them ring together smoother. So he does that on a few songs. Alright, we're crossing over. We got some Van Hagar riffs for you. I thought, how could I not, you know, include some Sammy stuff in here? I love both sides of Van Halen. You know, Diamond Dave stuff, and then of course the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. So the first one I want to start with here is Standing on Top of the World. And this one has some challenging stuff in it that I think will be good for a beginner to have to get this shape down, because you're going to come across this shape. If you're learning Van Halen stuff, these are Van Halen chords, is how I view them, because he uses them in everything. And somehow he makes them not sound the same. Is what's even cooler. It just, is a testament to the genius of Eddie. But the intro here is all in 2 strings. He's doing a lot of palm muting. Some notes aren't palm muted. I definitely recommend listening to the song and looking at the tabs, because this section is a little bit hard to explain because of how many repetitive notes there are. So basically it's all centered around this 5, 4, and 2 on the B string, and then there's an open in here. I'll call that out when it happens, but so it goes 5, 4, but if you watch my right hand, my hand's going like this. I'm only accenting the notes when I change notes. Everything else, my hand's staying very constant. See, listen. Every time I change a note, that's whenever I hit it open, and I palm mute everything else, so. Okay, so. Now, I said I would recommend looking at the tabs for this, because this is just going to be confusing if I break down all the little details. It's just going to be me repeating a bunch of stuff. But I'll play it slow again. So it goes 5, mute, 4, 5, then down to 2. So. Okay. Okay, so. So, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, open. So, 5, 4, 5, open. Like I said, now really watch my right hand so you can see exactly how my right hand never stops. Even though this hand is kind of moving, my right hand is very consistent. So, that part right there. Now, those two are right beside each other. There's no mutes, so. Then 5, 4, 5, 5. Now we have chords coming up here. Like I said, just spend some time with that one. Go slow. Play the song on YouTube. Half speed it if you want to. But the next section goes like this. And my computer's going to sleep. And basically this is, like I said, these are Van Halen chords, man. And this first one is just an E. So we're going to go to 6 on the D, 4 on the G, and then 5 on the B. This is an E major chord, but it's just Eddie's way that he plays it. It's a common one, but you'll see it a lot in Eddie's stuff. So again, 6, 4, 5. Now what happens is he goes right into this bar shape, which is basically a B major. So we go from E major, B major, A is what we're going to do. So we have E. Now he bars the 4th fret on the D, G, and the B, all with his index finger. Okay, so practice that transition. It'll be a little bit tough at first, because it's fast. But then he slides down. Like I said, now this is where we're transitioning to an A chord. Just 2 on the D, G, and B. Same shape, just move down. You play this one twice, though. Back up to that B, so 4. And then back to the E shape. So. But you can see how you can keep this. I keep this finger barred the whole time. You're going to see this in a lot of Kiss stuff. Poison. And a lot of Boston stuff. Like I said, you'll see this shape all over the place. Now he does the whole intro again. This part he changes it. He goes straight power chords, but he's starting this time with a C sharp. So he goes 4 on the A and then 6 on the D. So it's a power chord. Down to B twice and then A. Then he comes in with a little bit of a lead work here. Then you learn that next section too if you want to. But that's that whole thing. You know, like I said, get those that transition there. I think is the most valuable thing in there. And to round this video out, how could we not have the best of both worlds? It's basically like a reverse engineered, what is it, Highway to Hell? It's basically that, you know, it's funny, it's literally the exact same chords, you know, he just doesn't start on the A, he starts on the F sharp. We're not going to cover that finger picking part, but the opening section, there's a couple of ways you can play it. This kind of goes back to something I talked about a little bit earlier. It's me utilizing my thumb over the neck a lot. So when I do this chord, this AC/DC chord, I tend to use my thumb. So basically the chord is this. It's 2 on the low E string, open D, 2 on the G, 3 on the B, and you can have the open high E string in there if you want. I don't have it in there. Now, like I said, there's 2 ways to play this chord. The way I'm doing it is my thumb. So look at it almost as like a D chord without your middle finger, and then you have an F sharp in the bass. And then I go like this, so I go, play it twice. Now he goes to a G chord, and what I do is I just pick these 2 fingers up and put my middle finger down. So to me, this makes it easier than the next way I'm going to show you. But again, this works if you have bigger hands, but if you have trouble reaching over the neck, don't worry about it. I'll show you another way to do it. So then the G chord here is just 3rd fret low E string. You're letting your middle finger actually mute the A string. We don't want that A note in there. So D, G are open, 3rd fret on the B. It's like a rock and roll G chord is what I call it. Okay? Now you could go like this. If the thumb's not happening for you, use your index finger to get 2nd fret on the low E string. And then there's your 2nd fret right there. And then 3rd fret on the B. This transition is the same. Your middle finger will be up here, but this is the chord that you might have to change. It goes to an A chord. So figure out which way works for you. I'm going to keep using my thumb, though. Now, so basically we do it twice on the F sharp, so 2nd fret, twice on the G, then you do single hits. Then A chord, and to me he's doing more of like an A5. So open on the A, 2 on the D, and 2 on the G. So now the second time around here, he changes it a little bit. He goes back to that first chord with your thumb, or with your finger, however you're doing it, and you play it once, not twice this time. Then to the G. Then back to the F sharp. So. And then he goes. There's a little bit of a pause there to the A. So we have. So you hear that last one, he goes. So he switches it up just a little bit. It's overall the same, but he's just, you know, he's being Eddie, and Eddie don't play stuff twice. You don't chew his cabbage twice. And then he goes to this next part, which is really, really cool. I'm not going to cover it, but if you want to keep going. Look, oh, it's that chord from the other song. He uses this chord, like I said, constantly. So there you guys have it, some beginner riffs out of that Van Halen, Van Hagar catalog. Hope you guys enjoyed these. Like I said before, this week my beginner guitar course, Rock and Roll Bootcamp, is available. So if you want to support the channel, check that out. That is linked down below. I always appreciate you guys, always appreciate you guys hanging out with me here. I'll just see you next time. So other than that, I will see you on Friday. Whoop, whoop. Bye guys.